We are going to be in live. 1. Yes. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome to special panel of the political economy of UK and Turkey bilateral relations. There will be a process after Brexit, and which will be also most crucial for both countries, as being trying to being a member of a EU from the Republic of Turkey, and just newly become out of the EU as part of Brexit. There will be important reflections of the both relations. This is Dr. Uğur Yasin Asal, as expert of DİPAM and assistant professor of political science and international relations at Istanbul Commerce University. Today, joining me, Christopher Gantobe is the chairman of British Chamber of Commerce in Turkey, which is also second oldest one in abroad of the UK. This is also significant for Turkish business. And also Professor Sedat Aybar from Istanbul Aydın University. You are all welcome our panel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I wish to start with the chairman, Chris, that you can make your comments about, first of all, how COVID-19 affects the bilateral relations. As we know, the nearly whole of the world is affected very seriously, both commercially, financially, and politically. And then, how do you see the economic ties of Turkey and UK in the meantime of COVID-19? As we know, Turkey and UK made some cooperation about combating with COVID-19 and shared some equipments, some medical cares, and also UK has already supported the tourism funds for Turkey. This is crucial points. And from this start, we can go further about what could be the relations after Brexit can be enhanced by the efforts of two countries. You will have 15 minutes, then we can go further with Professor Sedat Aybar. Thank you again, and your chair is yours.
Thank you, Uwe, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. Yeah, as Uwe mentioned, I mean, we are the second oldest British chamber overseas, established in Istanbul in 1887. So we've been here a long time. I personally haven't been here that long, but I may look like it with my grey hair. But anyway, I mean, the topics that you've raised there, you know, are very important and critical to the future relationship between UK and Turkey. And you know, in these unprecedented times, you know, bringing people together for events like this, we have technology that's sort of filled the gap of personal engagement, which you know, I think will be a way that people will engage in the future, not completely, but definitely digital transition will play a major part, and you know, these type of events online, I think, will continue. So you know, we are already seeing some evidence of what the future may hold. So in today's world, we've got, you know, at the moment, more questions than answers. You know, we're going to discuss some of them today, and hopefully, you know, we will get some answers. I don't think we can give everybody 100% guarantees on some of the issues. I think that's going to be difficult. But I mean, in relation to, you know, the history of UK and Turkey, you know, we've had a very long trading relationship. I mean, just to, you know, the example of our chamber being established in 1887, trade was being done even before that between UK and Turkey. So we've always had a good trading relationship. And even today, our relationship with Turkey is still strong. And we still have a very good understanding of you know, what both our countries are looking to achieve. So it's it's something that I believe will continue. I think the Brexit negotiations that are going on, they've been extended from the weekend, which is a good sign. I hope that over the next few days we will get an indication of just the way it will turn out. What scenario we're going to have to deal with, and as far as Turkey is concerned, we want to have a deal with the EU because Turkey has a customs union agreement, and if we don't have a deal with the EU, then it'll be difficult to agree a free trade agreement with Turkey outside Turkey's responsibility to the EU. So there is a complication there. It's probably unique in terms of all our Brexit negotiations and trade deals. So we are hopeful that the negotiators will find a way to have an agreement with the EU, and then we can continue our trading relationship with Turkey without too many obstacles. And the hope that we have is that we can roll over pretty much the same agreements that we currently have as part of the EU into the future, where we're not part of the EU, but we do have an agreement with the EU. So there's been negotiations going on by our negotiating team in Ankara with their respective counterparts in the Turkish ministry. So we've pretty much covered all the issues that we'd like to roll over with Turkey. The good thing that we have between Turkey and UK is we have two willing partners to find an agreement. So that's a good place to be. And when you have that confidence and trust, you can always find a solution depending on the outcome. So that's definitely a positive. But we're still waiting to see how the negotiations turn out with UK and the EU. I mean, looking at our trading relationship in terms of value, I mean, last year we did approximately 18, almost 19 billion pounds worth of bilateral trade with Turkey. UK is Turkey's second largest export market after Germany. So it's an important market for both countries. I mean, we have to continue our trading relationship one way or the other, and we will find a way, irrespective of which scenario we have to deal with. So, but it is important. It's important to UK. It's also important to Turkey, and we've seen a lot of investment over the years from UK companies. We've got some big players here. We've got HSBC, we've got Vodafone, we have Shell, we have BP, Unilever. Lots of big companies that have been here for a long time. So they're very keen to see their future continue and grow with the potential that Turkey has. So as I say, it is critical, and the next few weeks will definitely give us a clear indication of what 2021 will look like. As far as the opportunities, I mean, we see great opportunity in Turkey, particularly in healthcare, in infrastructure, in leading edge manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, all these areas that Turkey is now starting to develop, and we can help them progress that development with our technology that we've already put in place in UK. So we do see a lot of opportunity. We have seen UK companies that have invested in the PPP projects, particularly on healthcare. We've recently seen two big investors come to Turkey. We've had Bupa, who purchased the health insurance arm of Acıbadem. Dyson have now set up here in Turkey. So Turkey is definitely on the radar for UK companies, and it's part of our role, together with our colleagues in the Department of International Trade team in the consulate and the embassy, to keep that momentum going. We believe Turkey is a long-term commitment. This is not a sprint; it's a marathon, and Turkey will have a lot of growth going forward, and not just in Turkey in the domestic market, but also in the region. I mean, Turkey has got some really strong companies that are operating outside Turkey in both Central Asia and the Middle East and North Africa. So Turkey is a great place to have a base and then feed out from that base into these other markets. So that's another big positive for Turkey. I can give you an example of the big FMCG companies and the tech companies that have hubs in Turkey. Vodafone and Microsoft and Unilever and Procter & Gamble, and the company I spent a lot of my career with, almost 20 years, Coca-Cola. I mean, the Coca-Cola Group office in Istanbul is responsible for about 90 countries. So that tells you something about how important Turkey is to big companies as a hub where they can then access other markets, and particularly emerging growth markets that are the neighbors. I mean, it's not we do have some neighbors that are a bit difficult to deal with, but history shows that all these things eventually sort themselves out. So we promote to UK companies, investors, that you have to have a presence in Turkey if you want to take advantage of the future growth opportunities that will come. And we do believe that there's a lot of headroom for growth in Turkey, as well as Turkey's influence in the region. So, there are a lot of positives there. I won't go back to Brexit, but we have to sort that problem out before we know exactly how we're going to do that. But it's not as if even if we end up with no deal with the EU, UK companies are not going to go away from Turkey. That's for sure. That will definitely continue, and we're here to support them along with our other Turkish chamber partners that we have MOUs with. So we have MOUs with the 15 largest Turkish chambers, including Istanbul, which is probably, somebody told me it was probably the second or third largest chamber in the world.
Yeah.
So it's a massive chamber, the Istanbul chamber. So we have, as I say, MOUs with the 15 largest chambers. That gives UK companies, through our organisation, access to over 800,000 Turkish companies. Now, that gives us a major opportunity.
Yeah.
So, there's some, these are relationships that we've built up over the last few years, which again will give us some strength as we go forward. So it's it's interesting just now. We've got COVID to deal with, and we've got Brexit to deal with. I mean, as far as COVID's concerned, I don't see any big issues that are COVID related in terms of the relationship. I think on the subject of technology, we've seen enormous growth in the capability of the tech organizations in Turkey. The startups that have done extremely well. We've seen a movement away from Southeast Asia in terms of back office technology support. A lot of companies have come to Turkey because the capabilities there. It's closer to the UK market, and I think that will continue. We also have been seeing a lot of investment into UK. So inward investment to UK has been doing particularly well. And we had a big transaction, what was it, 5-6 years ago, where Ulker bought United Biscuits. I mean, that was $2.5 billion of transaction. I mean, a massive transaction. We're not seeing quite that sort of size yet at the moment, but we're seeing smaller transactions continuing to go ahead. So we do see more opportunities for Turkish investors in UK. And when it comes to startups, and I go back to technology, I mean, another sort of example. I mean, if you look at the amount of funding that went into Turkish startups in Turkey in 2019, you were looking at something like half a billion to 500 million or something. In UK, it was 10 billion. So, so that's where the money is.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where the networks are. So, there's lots of opportunity to have, an office or a startup in UK that actually can, get that startup off the ground. And I mean, I must mention YGA. I'm sure you're familiar with YGA, the Turkish organization, which I'm part of. I'm on their UK board. They've got an office in UK now, and they're building their technology platform. You're probably aware of the blind stick that they've developed called WeWalk, that's being developed in UK. Now they're getting involved in climate tech. And it's all these YGA young entrepreneurs that we're trying to motivate to enhance Turkey's capabilities. So, as I say, lots of opportunity there. Yeah, we have some issues we have to deal with, but I'm confident that we will deal with those issues, and we will get through them. And then we'll kick off again into 2021.
Mm-hmm. And also, as we know, the UK is second, the most important export market after Germany for Turkey. And also, you mentioned for angel investors are being mostly located in London, which is the first for financial city in Turkey in more than 50 years. I mean, as we know the role of London, and personally, I was in Canary Wharf and saw this financial services are locating in mostly London, as the investors and getting funds for their companies. We do also personally, and also DİPAM encourage Turkish entrepreneurs being in London to get these opportunities. And thank you very much, Chris, for this great introduction. And now we continue with the Professor Sedat Aybar, is the professor of economics at Istanbul Aydın University, and he has a UK background for university, as I know, School of Oriental Sciences, University of London. He got his MA degree and PhD from there. And this is why, from this experience and also his crucial and valuable studies for Turkey and UK relations, and he holds lots of advisory role for different countries on specific sectors, and both EU, Turkey, and UK. And from this perspective, Professor Aybar, could you tell us how those relations will go after the Brexit, both politically and economically? Thank you very much again.
I thank you very much, Dr. Asal. And I'm going to inform my colleagues at School of Oriental and African Studies that their school is no longer called SOAS, but it is School of Oriental Sciences.
Okay.
So, and they will be very happy to hear that.
Thank you very much.
Before I start, let me say a few words on DİPAM and thank DİPAM for inviting me to this very interesting and, in my view, a timely, meeting like this, and sharing a platform with Christopher Gaunt, Order of British Empire. So it's an interesting and important platform for me too. So just let me start with your prior question to Chris. It was about COVID-19. COVID-19 is, of course, it's imposing such an interesting times upon entire globe, and not least on Turkish-UK relations too. COVID-19 brought about some opportunities and closer ties between the UK and Turkey. That is coming from, if you recall, that's coming from that Turkey is sending in aid to the UK after a private order that the UK had placed fell through. That Turkish government decided to send in some healthcare, some kits, masks, and so on and so forth to the UK, and that made things even more closer. Excuse me. So as a result, as a result of this kind of compensation on the healthcare stuff, the relationship between the UK and Turkey became even more closer. But it's not finishing there. COVID-19 also provided another platform for a closer relationship between Turkey and the UK on the grounds that the UK exempted Turkey from quarantine principles, quarantine measures that helped Turkish tourism industry during difficult times. So that was, Turkey and the UK on both sides of Europe. They are collaborating with their historical, hostilities as well as friendships throughout history. That Turkey is, for instance, signing up a trade agreement with the UK in 1838. So it's a long relationship. It seems like it's going to be around for the coming future. And when Brexit was voted 4.5 years ago, that blinkered eyes in Turkey. That's going to open up a new chapter with Turkey's relationship with the EU, but as well as with Britain. Of course, since then many things has happened. Many people, they were debating whether Brexit is going to take place or not. But I was one of those who believed in Brexit and who believed in Brexit going to be realized at the end, regardless of this roller coaster kind of political and democratic procedures taking place in Britain. It was very, very interesting to watch from a distance. And I'm sure in the future there'll be many, many research on to how democracy might work. Britain providing that kind of example to the world. Brexit was something exciting not only for Britain, for the entire world, and not least for Turkey. Turkey was also watching what is happening with the process of Brexit. Now, you have mentioned, Chris mentioned, Britain is Turkey's very important trading partner, and it has been for many, many years, and it's the surplus trading partner for Turkey. Germany is another important partner, but for instance, China is also a trading partner, but our trade with China is a deficit trade. It's not favoring Turkey's economic situation. We are exporting less than we import from China, and that gap is quite a big one. But with the UK, our trade is in surplus. So what will happen? Okay, and the second thing, yes, you have mentioned also that Britain is an important trading partner, but what we are trading with Britain is also important. We trade with Britain textiles, garments, manufactured goods, and some agricultural products. I think our agricultural product exports to the UK is around 510 million, $500 million US dollars. So since the Brexit vote, the two countries started working on a trade deal to strengthen this bilateral relationship. That to strengthen bilateral relationship has been very important for Turkey, because Turkey has begun pursuing a more assertive policy in the region, but beyond its regional reach. That included Somalia, some countries in sub-Saharan Africa, and some Balkans, the Caucasus, and beyond, the Central Asia. Turkey's pursuing of these assertive foreign policy somehow led to some conflict of interest in Eastern Mediterranean, whereby Britain's involvement has become increasingly important for Turkey. In Libya, Syria, and elsewhere. Well, while these assertive policies taking place, Turkey's relationship with the EU started to deteriorate. It has become more deteriorated on the basis that the EU started criticizing Turkey on democracy and human rights issues, and started undermining some of the attempts that Turkey was making in the region, particularly with regards to its own interest, economic interest, as well as other security interests. One of those relating to drilling of the coast of Cyprus. So that was not welcomed by many EU member states, with Greece and southern part of Cyprus being in the lead. So that kind of tensions and deteriorating relationship with the EU is made Turkey's relationship with the UK much more valuable and much more required. In the meantime, Turkey's relationship with the United States also become tense. Through this, US started, since Brexit, what has happened was the Pastor Brunson crisis with the United States, which has some economic repercussions on Turkey. Particularly, these relations became more tense, particularly after the decision of purchase of S-400 air defense system from Russia. So EU decided to, EU wanted to do something vis-a-vis migration issues, the Syrian irregular migrants from Syria and elsewhere. We shouldn't pin down this migration onto Syrian population, but that doesn't necessarily involve merely Syrian migrants, but some other people as well. So that kind of pressure on the EU through migration and the purchase of S-400s, the tension with the United States, and so on and so forth, pushed EU to do something about Turkey. The first thing that EU has done is to freeze negotiations on the, Turkey taking part as a full member in the EU. So that freeze up also involved freezing up all the customs union with Turkey. The one that has been signed in 1995, it was a temporary arrangement. It was a temporary customs union. It continues for 25 years. Somehow a temporary agreement has become a permanent thing. And with the new developments in the area of trade and production, particularly with e-trade and digitalization and recording of these digital stuff with financial aspects, or that new technologies being used in trade, that data processing and all that. The customs union that signed temporarily 25 years ago is not corresponding to Turkey's relationship with the EU and requires to be upgraded and updated. But the EU refused to do this. Now, with Brexit, the UK becoming independent from the chains, the feathers of the EU regulations, in Turkey raised hopes that now in Europe there rises another country which looks Turkey more sympathetically than the others, particularly after 15th of July coup attempt, the first Western country to condemn the attempt, and with regards to other issues like, for instance, in Libya, UK has been more, more docile, more less strict or less critical to Turkey's attempts there than other EU partners, France and Germany, for instance, or making Turkey more, supportive in a way. I'm not saying like full support, but less critical, less hostile towards Turkey when you compare it with the others in Syria and other Eastern Mediterranean conflict. So here Brexit providing Turkey with another power within Western Europe that can that Turkey can cut deals and move forward together. So that hope was very much there. But as things develop and the reality starts to hit the dreams, what happens is it is not very easy as it seemed. Cutting a trade deal is not easy, and increasingly it became apparent that a free trade agreement with the UK will depend on what is going to happen with UK's future arrangements with the EU. Now, Brexit is going to change Turkey-UK relations and trading pattern dramatically. There is no doubt about that. Turkey is in customs union, the customs union that has been almost redundant and old-fashioned and used to be temporary. It's not updated, needs modernization, needs upgrading. So that kind of binding customs union is very much there, and Turkey is part of it. And that customs union is preventing Turkey to cut new, fresh deals with, in the form of an FTA with the UK. That is that binding thing shows us that whatever develops in the future with the UK will have some hindrance from existing situation. So this is an important part. Then the nitty-gritty of this is extremely demanding. It requires detailed investigation. It requires some coverage of these sectoral concerns and many other issues that I cannot go into it just in this very short period of time. Mm-hmm. So with regards to industrial goods, agricultural goods, that customs union is making certain binding clauses, and all of these make cutting a separate agreement with the UK very difficult, and ought to replicate whatever deal is reached by the UK in the EU, and that should be replicated by Turkey. This is a kind of a technical part of binding relations. Mm-hmm. Let me say two more things and then stop. One of them is relating to Turkey, regardless all of these binding principles of the customs union, that Turkey is taking a kind of a lame duck entrance into the single market. Regardless of this, Turkey goes ahead and signs a FTA with the UK. Now that is going to endanger a retaliation from the EU against Turkey, but not only against Turkey, but also against the UK. So that kind of retaliation would undermine some of the benefits that Turkey is getting from the EU, regardless of that's deteriorated and tense relationships with the EU in the near past, yes, and recent past. So that kind of deal with the UK can lead to some more frictions between Turkey and the EU, and it may strengthen voices advocating tougher EU stance towards Turkey, which Turkey is not willing to go ahead with, accept those tougher stance, which includes sanctions and and probably an end to accession negotiations. So that will not be welcomed by Turkey. And Turkey is not going to sacrifice this, even though Britain is such an important ally and such an important partner in Europe. The second one is, even if Turkey signed the deal with the UK, there is a specific rules of origin criteria which would hinder increasing trade between Turkey and the UK, but as well as Turkey and European Union. That is a technical thing, that rules of origin criteria that exempts member countries in the customs union from that costly and cumbersome process of rules of origin criteria. And if an FTA is signed between the UK and Turkey, the rules of origin clause will come into play, which will lead to a deterioration of terms of trade on Turkey's half, on Turkey's part. Therefore, Turkey is not going to be willing to accept that kind of terms of trade deterioration for its future economic growth. Now, these are issues that requires technicals. Last thing, yesterday, Turkish Ministry of Trade held a large meeting together with representatives from different sectors. I don't know if Chris was able to follow that, but there the minister said everything is ready. You know, FTA clauses are ready. It is ready to be signed. Okay, it can be signed today. As soon as it is signed, the parliament will approve it in Turkey, and UK can put it into implementation without approval from the parliament, since government already accepted that kind of FTAs around the globe. But Turkey, as soon as it is signed and approved by the parliament, within 3 weeks, a FTA can be put in place. Everything is ready like that. But then, because of this retaliation from the EU and other aspects I have explained, with deterioration of terms of trade due to rules of origin criteria and some technical stuff, but it would be very difficult for Turkey to go ahead with FTA without UK reaching an agreement with the European Union on Brexit based on, you know, some deals.
Yes.
As soon as we have to wait for that deal for Turkey before Turkey signs a FTA with the UK. So this is like the reality on the ground is preventing that very important and promising relationship for the future that would flourish, you know, wealth and prosperity and peace in both countries further. That is hindered by the existing situation within the EU. So that is, I stop there.
Okay. And thank you very much, Professor Aybar, for your visionary and the alternative opportunities and threats that can be in front both countries. Thank you very much for these very wide explanations about the alternative scenarios. And let me turn, Chris, how do you see these scenarios just front both countries being a deal on FTA and also a risk for being a customs unions and its effects on both countries? And also, let me add, what are the prominent sectors that would be mutually benefited from those scenarios, and also what can be the some threats for both countries in trade issues? Yes, you have 10 minutes. We are starting the second round. Then Professor Aybar will continue. Then we will get some Q&A. Then we will finalize. Thank you.
Okay, Ömer, and thank you, Sedat, for explaining, you know, and giving clarity to, you know, some of the issues that we're facing. I am familiar with what the ministers were saying yesterday, and I mean the situation as you described it. I mean there's so much at stake. There's a lot of risks in jumping the gun, for want of a better description, for both parties, and it's not in the interest of Turkey or the UK to, as I say, undermine further the relationship with the EU, and that's why we're pushing very hard to get a deal with the EU, so we avoid all these issues. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody if we get a deal with the EU. I have to come clean on this. I was never in favour of Brexit. It wasn't something that I felt was the right thing to do, but that's history now, so I'm not going to dwell too much on that. But and I must clarify one point. So that was saying that Turkey had been taken off, wasn't on the 2-week quarantine. For anybody that doesn't understand that, Turkey is on the 2-week quarantine list, unfortunately now. So we shouldn't give people an expectation that they'll fly to UK and not be quarantined for 2 weeks. As my wife's son Ali, who flew back 10 days ago, is now experiencing. He works for Facebook in London. Anyway, I mean it's the opportunities that the two countries have that are mutual benefit to both are definitely there. The fundamentals are there. I mean, there's no issue with that, and we just have to find a way to navigate through these current technical and also political issues. And we are optimistic that a solution will be found. And when it comes to business, I mean, Turkey's got a history, a trading history that goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, Istanbul, Kapalı Çarşı, what was Kapalı Çarşı there for? It's to trade goods coming in from the Silk Route and from India. So there's no lack of capability when it comes to trading and organizing trade links. So even if we end up with no deal, and so that's right. I mean, it'll be difficult to actually for Turkey to, and Turkey has to make that move. It's not something UK can do. It has to be Turkey that sort of decides whether it wants to sign an FTA. But businesses find ways around this. They always have done. I mean, that's how we survive. And Turkey's got some very capable organizations that will find solutions, even if it's a scenario that we don't want. And it'll take time. There will be some gaps. I mean, that's for sure. You can't avoid that. But I think we will get on track whichever way it goes, and we will continue to benefit from our strong trading links with Turkey. So I'm not too pessimistic. I still feel optimistic, and I think talking to our colleagues in the consulate and the embassy, they've been working very hard to get an FTA with Turkey ready to go, if that's, as Boris used to call it, an oven-ready agreement. It's been criticised for saying that a year ago because there wasn't an oven-ready agreement in place. But anyway, so it's it's there to be done, and I think there was an announcement from Brussels that the leader of the EU, not Barnier, the other lady, I can't remember her name, but she was saying, I can't tell you, this was this morning, I can't tell you whether it's going to be a deal or a no deal. So, nothing's decided. So I think everything's, still being debated. She did say that the level playing field issue, that was quite a big issue. And the level playing field is to do with competitive or anti-competition rules where UK couldn't start reducing their product prices in competition with the EU, which I think is a fair request. But she said that progress had been made on that, and that they were very close to getting an agreement on that. So the other outstanding issue was fisheries, and fisheries for me is more symbolic than it is to do with trade. I mean, fisheries in terms of UK's GDP or fishing, UK's GDP is 0.02%. Now, for politicians, are you going to risk this breakup of relations with the EU for 0.02% to your GDP? I think the British people would have some serious questions if you couldn't resolve that particular point. And so, yeah, we have to stay optimistic, and we're just hopeful that the progress has been made, that the current mood music that you hear coming out of Brussels tends to be a little more positive than it was sort of 4 or 5 days ago. So we remain optimistic. Now, coming back to sectors that offer great opportunity, and I've mentioned several of them to you already, but I mean, it's financial services will continue because they're not part of the trade deal. They're not in there, so that will continue. And we have also another organisation that's also going to strengthen the relationship between Turkey and UK, and that's UK Export Finance, UKEF. Now, UKEF is the British state, well, not state bank, but they finance and insure UK exports. So it's there to support UK exporters and provide funding and insurance cover for UK exporters. And UKEF, there are only 9 representatives globally representing UKEF, and one of them's in Istanbul, in Turkey, in the consulate. That's how important Turkey is when it comes to our future trading relationship. And UKEF have been actively providing support to Turkish companies that have been working with UK companies, and they're able, within their model, to fund investment into construction infrastructure projects that are not necessarily in Turkey, but are being done by Turkish companies. So, I mean, the way that it works is, if a Turkish company is looking to build a power plant in North Africa, the Middle East, or somewhere else, and there is a minimum of 20% content in that deal from UK, therefore they have to buy a minimum of 20% of goods, services, or whatever it may be from UK, then UKEF can finance that project with the Turkish contractor. And it's been going on now for about 3-4 years, and a number of big transactions have already been completed with Enka and some other large Turkish construction companies. With Enka's transaction was a power plant in Iraq. So, and that will still continue. This is outside the trading agreement. So there are other things in play that will continue that relationship that we have with Turkey, and build on the strength of Turkish companies, and particularly the construction sector, who, after China, are the world's largest construction sector, operating internationally. So, as I say, there are other avenues that we can benefit from that are not directly affected by the EU negotiations. You mentioned anchor agreement there. Now, that is an issue. There will be no anchor agreement after the end of December. At the
Yes.
moment, the current situation is people who've applied for the Anchor Agreement, they're in the system, that will continue, but no new applications will be taken after the end of December. So, anybody thinking that if they haven't applied, then they should apply now, because time is running short, because it will finish. Because the Anchor Agreement was never something unique to UK and Turkey. It was an EU agreement.
Yeah.
And obviously, when we leave the EU, then we cease to be part of that.
Thank you very much, Chris, for your also willings to be in all those opportunities, and that's being not pessimistic, being and hopeful for the upcoming future, both bilateral relations and also the relations of the UK to the EU as well. Thank you very much. And
I'd just like to add one more point.
Sure, sure.
It's nobody's interest to see our relationship actually deteriorate. It's not in Turkey's interest, it's not in UK's interest. It's not actually in the interest of Europe to see our relationship deteriorate. And I know, because I meet with my fellow chairmen from the European chambers, the Germans, the Italians, and the French, and all the other EU chairmen in Turkey. And Germany, because they've been in the chair this last year, they've been pushing very hard to get an enhanced customs union agreement back on the table with the Turkish government. And fortunately, they still allowed me to participate in that, although we're leaving. But it's interesting that the EU, I think, is keen to keep Turkey engaged on that. And I don't think the issues, as mentioned, are really to do with trade. They're more to do with politics. And obviously, UK's kept a very low voice when it's come to political issues. We've kept a more amicable approach to Turkey, and I see no reason for that changing in the future. And that's another strength that we have that we want to continue.
Sure. That is also, Turkey needs to be enhanced those cooperation with the UK as well, because as we know, yesterday the government of the United States and also announced some CAATSA sanctions on Turkey. The relations in NATO, G20, OECD, or such international institutions also will affect by the efforts of the foreign ministry of the US. And then we will see what will be the new term of President Biden in the relations between Turkey and the US. There will be the different scenarios, but we will see. And Professor Aybay, how do you think that the bilateral relations between Turkey and the UK after Brexit can reflect its sense on those international institutions? And how do you see the relations and possible good ties with the UK will affect these institutions?
It seems to me that EU and binding regulations of the EU is going to still dominate UK-Turkey relationship in the near future. Afterwards, once the dust is settled with the negotiations with the EU of Great Britain, then we will be evaluating the future scenarios much more accurately. Now, I understand. First of all, let me say this, Chris. I didn't mean that that quarantine principles are removed altogether. In the beginning of summer, they were not in place, and that helped Turkish tourism. But afterwards, Britain removed that. Now you have to be quarantined. So nobody take my word as the quarantine is no longer there and travel to UK, because you'll be locked up 14 days. I think it's now 10 days, right?
It is, yeah, it's been reduced, fortunately. So house arrest, you're not being penalised for an extra 5 days.
Right. My aunt, she's traveling tomorrow to the UK, so she's going to be house arrested in Cambridge. Therefore, this is a new thing. So I wouldn't, misinform people about that quarantine, how the quarantine is.
No, I mean, it was just a point there. I mean, our Consul General, Judy Slater, has just left. She'll be taking up a new post, but she'll spend 3 months in UK, and she's flown back to UK, and she's just finished. She didn't benefit from the 10 days. It wasn't introduced, so she had to do full 14 days of quarantine in London. So that was, she hasn't been back to London for years and years and years. And the first experience she had to be locked in the house.
That's a good transition period, climatizing herself for the London weather. So, I mean, yes, what will happen to UK-Turkey relationship in the future? It seems like those issues relating to negotiations with the EU, that whether the British government going to cut a deal or not, is going to be very much determining what will happen between Turkey and the UK. It seems like, and Chris quite rightly pointed out, that the jury is still out there, negotiations are still going on. And if you are on the side of a separation with a deal, then there's some discourse that says, you should be optimistic about what is going to take place in the near future. And Chris is, as a result, a bit of optimistic about the future relationship between the UK and the EU. That is, the jury is out there. But Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, he said, that Britain is committed to end this whole process with or without deal on 31st of December, and Brexit is going to take place. But that doesn't necessarily mean Britain is not going to negotiate a free trade agreement with the EU partners, either with individual states or separately with EU institutions like the EU central governance. The UK will continue those negotiations, and the issues Chris mentioned, fisheries, the level playing ground, how competition is going to take place, and also which institutions are going to govern the future of the Brexit. That is going to be very much on the table. Fisheries, yes, it's symbolic, it's small, but it is, it's important, even though it is symbolically important, but it is important in the sense that fisheries bring forward the border issues between the EU and the UK, with Gibraltar and the French coastal line, whether that kind of continental shelf is going to be determined on 6 miles, 12 miles, 100 miles. That symbolic stuff, it's got more geopolitical involvement. Hence, the UK put forth their navy, I think, on the channel, protecting the British fishermen against the French vicious aggression on British fish. So, and maybe one thing is, with regards to Turkey, that fisheries is, of course, it's such a marginal issue for Turkey, with the exception that Turkey exports mackerel to Britain, and that export is subject to, because it's an agricultural product, it's subject to agricultural taxation. Probably with regards to fisheries and removal of the taxation will make mackerel exporters happy in Turkey. So that is one aspect of fisheries issue, a marginal issue, how that may interest Turkey also marginally. But governance and competition is important. Competition in terms of, let's say, whatever happens with the EU, there is no deal with the EU, then Turkey sticks with the customs union rules and regulations and establishes relationship with the UK strictly according to that customs union rules. Let's say Britain is going to take a less ambitious approach and making some provisions, taking some provisions of this customs union unilaterally, making them more flexible and allowing Turkish exports to enter the UK market without hindered by the clause of origin. The important part of this was the clause about the rules of origin. Now, this aspect is important, but UK, even taking unilateral, because UK can do this for Turkish exporters, can take a unilateral action to have a flexible approach on rules of origin conventions that allow Turkish exports, particularly industrial exports, not to have 60% of ingredients contributed inside Turkey, but let's say brought it down to 50%. Even then, okay, probably EU will, and most definitely will retaliate, but even then, that is not going to be a tangible solution to improving trade relation between the UK and Turkey. So this is an important part of it. Regardless of all of this, taking unilateral initiative, adopting a flexible approach to rules of origin clause, even then, it would be very difficult for Turkey to develop an FTA with the United Kingdom. Okay, so yeah, this is the but let me say, now these are very, very detailed technical nitty-gritty of relationship in the very near future, and this is going to cause a lot of havoc around these relationships, not necessarily with Turkey, UK, EU, Turkey, EU, but in a broader sense. Whether Turkey can sign an agreement with UK, just Turkey did with Malaysia, or the Australia principle will take place, will be on the table. These are all, in the near future, these are not going to be debated. These are not going to be negotiated on the table. But in the longer period, in the longer future, in the far end, things will be different institutionally. But this is going to override these trade debates, trade deals. But then to what extent UK is going to be capable to push for WTO principles in its relationship with the EU, but beyond its relationship with the EU, including its relationship with China in South Pacific, and its relationship with the United States and North America. This will have important and radical repercussions on the existing international structure, international institutional structure. That architecture might be disturbed and radically reformed and changed. And the leading force in this is going to be Britain. Yes, it is true that, I know debate in Britain that Brexit was not very much welcomed among these intellectual circles and some other people, and Chris is one of them, as I understand it. But the whole crippled international institutional structure that needs to be reformed, and it needs to be reformed in a democratic, in a free market principle way that is going to be led by the debate taking place within the UK and between UK and the EU, between UK and the United States. So this is like, we have to keep an eye on that and watch closely what is happening, what kind of dynamics going to be at play there.
And thank you very much, Professor Aybar. And it was very great discussion about the alternatives and the opportunities and threats for in front both of countries. And the audience was benefited all those outputs from your distinguished thoughts. Thank you very much again, gentlemen, for joining us today. And this is the time for last words. And Chris, would you like to add as an part for the conclusion?
Well, yeah. I mean, I agree with Serap there. I mean, the EU does need to change. I mean, that I think that's something that's becoming clearer and clearer. It's not fit for purpose in the way that it was intended. And we did have an opportunity when David Cameron was Prime Minister. He was trying to engineer a discussion whereby things could change. This imbalance between the German-French sort of domination in the EU, and the EU has become more political and it's become a trading organization, and that's not what it was intended for. And the way that the WTO is operated, there's lots of questions about how the WTO works and how effective it is. So I agree absolutely that things will have to change, because the world is an open marketplace, and we've seen elements of protectionism in certain countries, and we have to avoid that. And as the world gets more interdependent, and it will. I mean, we've seen. I mean, out of COVID, we've seen countries actually coming together. I mean, eventually they understood that they would have to work together. They would have to share their science. They would have to share their infection rates and whatever else. It's all out there in the public eye. And the consequence of that is that we have a collective responsibility to bring us closer together and not divide us. And I think that will change. And I think there has to be a more what shall I say, more ethical way of dealing with these things, instead of turning them into animosity and blaming each other and whatever, when at the end of the day our economies depend on being able to trade together, work together, and make the world a more profitable place for everybody. And I mean, I'm not sorry, I'm going to go off in a different direction here, but climate change, all these issues where we have to work together. And we've got the COP26 next year in UK, which Boris is hosting. He wants UK to be the big driver in terms of climate change and so on and so forth. Whether he'll be able to achieve that remains to be seen, but he can't do it unless there's a collective will from other major players around the world to do that. So things will change, and I think the next few years we will see the EU and the World Trade Organization. All these will have to have a refit in order to fit the modern trading world. They've been there a long time. They haven't made a lot of changes, and as I say, for me, it's become a bit more political than it has as business, and we have to redress that.
Thank you very much, Chris. Also, the COVID-19 disease shows us that the wider relations should be sustainable, and how those sustainable ties will need for the close future. And also, thank you very much personally, as being living in Turkey more than 15 years, and also leading and British Chamber of Commerce in Turkey, which is second oldest in abroad for the UK. This is also a great opportunity and honor for Turks that to make you as a guest today as the chairman of this British Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for your. And also the message today is should be also being an optimistic in those relations should help us to make effective cooperation between two countries. Thank you very much, Chris. And thank you. And Professor Aybar, we can get your concluding remarks about the panel, and then we will finalize.
We can never give up on being optimists. I mean, that is a must. But being an optimist or a pessimist when you are an economist is a very difficult thing to do. So you choose to be rather realist on these issues. And when you look at things objectively, the challenges are ahead, and some of these challenges are relating to how the EU and its institutional structure is going to be reformed and upgraded, updated, and how EU is going to respond to some of the challenges that imposed upon us, globally, some of which Chris referred to with climate change and environmental deprivation, poverty, income distribution being very bad, people deprived of some very important inputs for their livelihood, and migration, security problems. These are all, when you look at the EU, what you see is not a unified Europe, but rather disunified Europe, particularly, that recently on the sanctions on Turkey, for instance, France, Greece, and other, Austria pulling one side, and Germany and others to the other side. So there is a disunified Europe, and I totally fully agree with Chris that it doesn't deliver what it promised initially when it was being formed during 1950s. So therefore, that project has been a great failure, and Brexit is going to shake up Europe in order to come to terms with the realities of the world. So this is one thing, and of course, with Turkey's relationship with the EU, with the United Kingdom, is also going to depend on Turkey's relationship with the United States, and how that tense relationship is going to be resolved under forthcoming U.S. administration under President Biden, President-elect Biden. So these are issues, but one in the very short run, not in the long run, but in the very short run, the issues between Turkey and the UK is going to be, trickling down to rules of origin clause, and like fisheries, even though it's or Northern Ireland, for instance, when this was a very small issue, but it's rather poisoned entire process of negotiation with the European Union, and became very big. A great sociologist, C. Wright Mills, as he would put it during 1950s, that small thing can become oversized in a very short period of time, and this clause about rules of origin is extremely important, and there should be one way to resolve that, regardless of customs union, single market, and the future of EU-UK relationship, that Brexit being with or without a deal. Now, one thing I want to add on to this is Pan-Euro-Mediterranean Convention on Rules of Origin. If Britain joins that, then the problems around rules of origin clause might be, I'm not going to say 100% resolved, but can provide some flexibility and easing up of the resolving those problems. So this is, I think that has been a very nice gathering So I thank DİPAM and to you, Dr. Asal. And it's wonderful meeting you, Chris, for this very interesting event and including me in it. Thank you.
You are welcome, Professor Aybar, and it's a pleasure for us to get all this efficient discussion about the alternatives and capacity and performance of the upcoming relations between UK and Turkey within the political economy perspective, from the business side, from the political side, and all the reflections for the close future. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your contributions and your ideas. And also special thanks to DİPAM to organize this event on the political economy of the Turkey and the UK relations. And we hope these panels will follow up with the new and different subjects also, which will help to benefit it for Turkish academia, business, and for the state institutions as well. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.